I will just start my lecture and let you ask questions later. So the Joseon Dynasty documents, now commonly referred to as Uigwe, are official records of the superintendency. That's how you write Uigwe in Chinese character. This superintendency was a temporary office set up to plan and carry out special state rites. Uigwe were compiled after the completion of events such as royal wedding, royal funeral, birthday, and other celebrations, and building and repairing of the palace buildings and so on. There are so many different types of Uigwe. These records were written in Chinese characters, which combined both literary Chinese and the unique Korean writing system called Idu. I don't think modern Koreans even understand what Idu means. This is to record the Korean sound or meaning with the Chinese characters. So I will just skip this. And later on, I will show you some of the pages. It looks like Chinese characters, but I did a great deal of study on classical Chinese language, but I couldn't read through. And then I found out that this text also has Idu element. Now, with the publication of the National Law Code in 1484 and the Book of the Five Rights of the Nation in 1474, the Joseon court firmly established the rules and the regulation for the management of state rights according to Neo-Confucian principles of government. However, before the two books were published, there was this thing called the Veritable Record of King Sejong. Now, each reign had its veritable records in Korean history. And King Sejong's veritable records is unique that it has other things such as this one, the five rights. Here. And it spells out all these things. And then it even has illustrations like this one. So King Sejong laid out the contents of the five rights of the nation before it was really published. And these illustrations are for utensils to be used in the rites and costumes for the royal family to be worn. And these are the two codes, law codes of the Joseon Dynasty, the five rights of the nation, and the Joseon law code, Gyeongguk Daejeon. So then, after these were published, all the court rites had to be performed as prescribed. It was in this spirit that the court not only conducted important state rites, but also documented the details of the events, often with illustrations. So I wanted to show you the physical look of the Uigwe books. you will see the difference in the cover and the binding. The binding on the left is of metal, and the cover is made of cloud design silk, whereas the one on the right is just plain paper and sewn. The one on the left is for the royal viewing copy, and the other one is a copy for history archives. So when a Uigwe book was made, they didn't make just one copy. They made about 5 to 10 copies. It's all handwritten and hand illustrated. This is another royal viewing copy with good binding and silk cover. Now, Ms. Claire Waters just mentioned that we got everything from Paris in 2011. So these are the places where the Uigwe books are now kept. So except for number 4, the British Library one, all the identifiable or existing Uigwe books are in Korea now. Kyujangak Library at the Seoul National University has the most copies, and the next is Changsogak. This is where I used to work. And the ones from France are now in the National Museum, and the ones from Japan are now in the National Palace Museum as of December 2011. Now, I want to show you briefly the incident of the French takeover of these precious documents. This is the French naval ships moored at the fort of Gappo. Ganghwa Island is not far away from Seoul. It's in the mouth of the Han River. And the French invaded in 1866. And this incident in Korean history is known as Pyeongin Yangnyo. And at this time, they came to Korea. On the surface, they had the pretext of retaliating the Korean court for killing 9 French missionaries earlier. But as you can imagine, this is a period when all these great Western powers tried to occupy some part of Asian countries. So this is, I would say, part of that overall historical context. Another scene of the invasion, and the buildings you see in this illustration are all in that Ganghwa Island, where the library called Ue Kyujangak was, and it was sacked by the French Navy at that time. And the building was burned, and the books were all taken to France. But fortunately, we have this image of how it looked, the place where all these precious royal viewing copies were kept. And it was rebuilt on the basis of that drawing, and also they conducted extensive archaeological digging exactly to find exactly where it was. Now, we call the ones in Kanghwa Island Ue Gyujanggak, whereas there is a place called Gyujanggak without the prefix Ue, which means outer. And this is Kim Hong-do's painting of Gyujanggak in Changdeok Palace in Seoul. If you have been to Changdeok Palace, it's called Juhapru right now, but it used to be the building called Gyujanggak during the Joseon Dynasty. And so it's the building you see up there is my workplace. I used to work, and my office is right here. And now they built a new building to really preserve the Uigwe copies that we have in our library. So I had to do a lot of research on Uigwe. And this is where the ones in Paris used to be kept. It's one of the branches of the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Now inside, if you open the cover, this is what you see. The one on the left being a royal viewing copy. It has red margin, and the characters are all very beautifully written, regular, and so on. Whereas the one for the history archive does not have the red line, but it's black, printed black line. And also the characters are not as beautiful and even. I will come back to this later, but this is a section of King Jeongjo's wedding procession in 1759. Now, when we got back all these Uigwe documents from France, we had a great deal of media coverage in which all these procession paintings were really highlighted. But I should say that only about 20% of all the Uigwe books include illustrations. But the texts are, of course, very important in understanding the Joseon Dynasty's culture. And so I will show in a bit more detail the Uigwe of royal wedding, which is called Garedogam Uigwe in Korean. So the book usually starts with the list of officials in charge, but I'm showing you the next section, which is called Goheng Ilgi in Korean, but it's the schedule of detailed stages of events. So it's really interesting. It shows in February 6th, the first round of selection of the bride took place. And then the second round took place in 2 weeks. And then finally the third round in another 10 days. So after the third round, if a maiden was selected, then she doesn't go back home. From that time on, she is a royalty. So she is placed in a place called the Byeolgung, separate palace, and she gets the education to be the queen or crown, wife of crown princess. So all these stages in between, and these stages includes 3 rehearsals for each. So it's very elaborate. So I will simply show you this very quickly. Now we covered up to number 2. Now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the 6 stages, 6 rites we call it. And the first one is the proposal and the acceptance. And actually, number 4, the sending of gifts to the bride's family is in token of acceptance. And then they select the auspicious date and announce the date, and then formal appointment of the queen, and then the king visits to this special residence where the bride-to-be has been staying, and accompany her to the palace. And number 9 is the formal marriage vow. It's called Dongreon, and it's a very interesting concept. I'm sure many of you know here know Chinese characters, right? Yeah, I think more than half. So this means together, and the second one means animal's pen, like bull pen. Here, the top part means a house, and inside there is a cow. So this means that they go together in the same pen, becomes a family. And the third character is Banquet. And then, this is a sheet of paper that we had at the Academy of Korean Studies. We have so many court documents in our library, and it shows you all these dates from the 6 stages that I talked about. And then this is the formal marriage vow place. So in the center, there's this yellow place, and this says Gyobe-seok, which means place where the bride and groom exchange vow. And then these are the food tables and flower vases and so on. These are all wine containers. So then I would like to show this again, the procession, the king and the bride going to the palace from the separate palace she was staying. So on the right side, there's king's palanquin with all 4 sides wide open, but in no painting, you will see the image of the king. And actually, this is called banchado in Korean, which means that everybody, according to his rank, has a place to stay in a procession. So it's translated as rank positioned painting. But as you can see, some of the figures are upside up, whereas the others are upside down. And in the center, you see the palanquins upside up or right, but these officials are sideways, showing their backs. So I want to show you the similar practice in the Joseon Dynasty map. This is the map of Seoul close to the time of Jeongjo's wedding, 1751. And you will see that the mountains are, here it's upside down, and these are sideways. So are all these labels, characters. And this is the Gyeongbok Palace, main palace of Joseon Dynasty, and other palaces are all scattered. The mountains upside up here. So what is important here is that by combining multiple viewpoints, you can show everyone not overlapped and everyone accountable in the procession. And so I would say that this painting, this procession painting is primarily documentary, so you have to document everything. Now we'll see what these little palanquins contain. Let's see if, yeah. On the right, there is a small palanquin containing a formal letter of appointment. And on the left is a drawing, illustration of the way how the letter of appointment should be contained in this beautiful scroll. Here is illustration. And this is from another Uigwe, but it has beautiful illustration of the box and the format of the king's letter of appointment. Now the second one is jade book palanquin, small palanquin for jade book. Now, many of you know that in ancient China, books are made of strips of bamboos put together. And in that tradition is we also use this important document written on the pieces of jade put together. And this is a book of encomium, all the good things about the bride or bride-to-be, contained in this small palanquin. And then finally, there is this colorful palanquin for a gold seal of the newly appointed queen. So these are two seals for King Jeongjo's first wife. By the way, the second wedding that I showed you the procession from took place in 1759 when King Jeongjo was 66 years old and his bride 15 years old. And then these are the formal costumes of the bride to be contained in the small book, palanquin. And this is, there's something, oh, here. Here's the queen's palanquin, but all covered up. It's not shown. And then on the sides, you will see all these palace ladies in waiting and whatnot. And this is a scene from a drama that I took to show you how it actually looks. But inside there is this somebody sitting, posing as a king. And again, this Dongreon painting, and the flower arrangement on the right side is actually this one is very skimpy, but it should have been this way in actuality. So I'm glad we have this arrangement. Now, the upcoming exhibition will have many of the banquet paintings and banquet Uigwes. So I decided to show you some of these things. This one is a celebration for the 40th anniversary of King Jeongjo's accession to the throne in 1765. I must say that this is one of the rare examples of the banquet scene honoring a male person, a king. There were about 19 such celebrations during the Joseon Dynasty, but 15 of them were all for the ladies of the family, queen mother, dowager queen, grandmother or mother of a king, or sometimes even if somebody never became a queen, then if her son becomes a king, then she is considered a dowager queen. So all these celebrations. Actually, King Jeongjo is the longest reigned Korean Joseon king. He reigned 52 years. And during his reign, so many special Uigwes were made. So I have a book coming soon. I finished the draft last year. So within this year, my book on special Uigwes on King Jeongjo's reign will come out. So maybe this is the banquet scene with the king's seat behind these 5 big screens, the sun and moon, but the king is not shown. And now, instead of piling up so many dishes of food, he only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Uigwe also contains the menu, so I wrote down all this menu in my book. And then there's this special dance called Choyong. Choyong is a Silla Dynasty character, but the story is very long, so I will simply skip and show you the detail, showing it's a male mask dance of 5 characters, and each of them wear color of the 5 directions. So blue and red, black, white, and yellow. But in between, this one is quite special in that same Choyong appeared twice in the dance. It's quite rare this way. So we also perform this quite often in Korea whenever we have Korean festival or something. And the one on the right shows a page of illustration from that Uigwe. And more drum music. And then this is a very special Uigwe of King Jeongjo. King Jeongjo is King Jeongjo's grandson. So instead of his son succeeding him, his grandson succeeded him. King Jeongjo was a great king, except that he killed his own son. This is a very famous incident in our history, very sad. Then King Jeongjo and his mother, wife of Prince Sado, made a visit to his father's tomb in 1795, and that year coincided with the 60th birthday of both Crown Prince Sado and his wife. And I'm showing the printed page of this Uigwe. This is one of the few printed during the late 18th century. And this plus another one during King Jeongjo's reign was also printed. And instead of making 5 to 10 copies, he had about little over 100 copies made, printed. And the character there says Jeongni Uigwe. Jeongni is the kind of metal type used for printing this. And this is the rebuilt palace in Hwasong, where his father's tomb was. So he built this place called Haengung. Haengung means palace for a king on his way to some place else. So he would stay here. And then, since his mother was 60 years old at this time, she wanted to have a banquet for elders of the region. So the first section, first and second section shows the banquet, and there's a great deal of performing arts going on. All these bells and drums and dancing ladies and so on. And then this is the second to the last panel, where the king's retinue is going back to Seoul, and the palanquin right here, it's this one here, is that of Lady Haegyang, or King Jeongjo's mother, and the same thing is in the Uigwe book. So they went in this long, meandering procession, and there are so many people along the road watching this wonderful parade. And so I think when you had this exhibition, you will also have an animated version of this procession. The National Museum of Korea made this animated procession for the exhibition of the Uigwe when we got these things from France. This is something that it's a footnote to this. If you go to Seoul, please visit Cheonggyecheon stream in the center of Seoul. Then you will see the illustration on tile wall of this stream. Now the stream is, this is map of Seoul, of course, and I'll show you how the streams merge together to go into the Jungnyeongcheon. And so along this, the thick part, which is more or less straight, that's where you will find the procession tile. And so this is the east gate, and this is west gate, which is not extant today, and Gyeongbok Palace, and Changdeok Palace, and Changyong Palace. And here is the south gate, or Sungyemun, which was rebuilt recently after the fire. So that's where you will see the procession painting. And I want to show you how they crossed the Han River at that time. Because Hwasong is south of Seoul, about 100 kilometers. And so this is the pontoon bridge. Look at all these ships down there. And then across all these ships, they put panels so that this retinue can cross the Han River. Right now, I think there are about 17 bridges, and every day more bridges are being built, so I lost count. Here is 2 pages from the Uigwe to put together to show you the pontoon bridge. And another banquet of 1827. This one is also printed, and so the illustration is of wood block. Since what is interesting in this is that some of the writings are in Korean, Hangul. So here you see, you read it this way, 명부, 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 명부. So 명부 means appointed ladies. So there are 2 kinds. One is 내명부, which means inside the palace, appointed ladies, and those are the concubine of a king. And 외명부 means outside appointed ladies, and those are wives of high officials. They're all invited to this. So this one is banquet for Dowager King Jo's 60th birthday, held at the newly constructed Gyeongbok Palace. Gyeongbok Palace was the main palace of the Joseon Dynasty, but it was nearly completely destroyed during the Japanese invasion period. We had 2 invasions, 1959 and later 1592 and 1598. But then nobody really wanted to rebuild this enormous palace. So finally, we had to wait until the 19th century when a regent, Daewon-gun, King Gojong's father, decided to have it rebuilt. But then it cost so much money, and he was really regretted by so many people who had to really squeeze their means to pay for this. A lot of tax. So this was the first banquet that took place at the newly rebuilt Gyeongbok Palace. So first in the Kunjeongjeon, this is the main throne hall. The king gets congratulations from all his officials, and it's called 왜 진찬. 왜 means out. But then it's not outsiders banquet. It should be king's banquet. I mean, king's invitation. And then the rest are 내 진찬, meaning queen's banquet. So queen invites all these people. And so I want to show you who this Dowager Queen, Shinjong, or Lady Jo, is also known as Dowager Jo, Jo Debi, mother of King Honjong, wife of Ikjong. But as I said, she has never been a queen herself because her husband died while he was crown prince, but luckily she had a son. And then when his son was enthroned, she became Dowager Queen. And that's the detail of the banquet. Look at the ladies going around and dancing. There are several different kinds of performances, but you will have all these in your exhibition when it comes. Now, I want to show you this guest list of invited guests at the banquet of that year. Here, this 정부인, 심씨. 정부인 is equivalent to today's wife of a minister. And if your husband is prime minister, you are called 정경부인. But 정부인 is wife of ministerial husbands. And then it goes on and on and on. And then here's Yuin. Yuin means scholar. And then in small characters, it says what her husband's position is. So I thought it was very interesting because at least these ladies have their surname recorded here. But my husband served as Foreign Minister of Korea between 1993 and 94. So we were invited frequently to the dinners at the Blue House. But the name tag I would have does not even say my surname E. It's just wife of Foreign Minister. So no identity, but Joseon ladies had better identity. This is different types of banquet. This is birth celebration, and it took at the Changdeok Palace. It's interesting. I showed you in the map where the Changdeok Palace is in relation to the main palace, Gyeongbok Palace. But a lot of kings favored Changdeok Palace even after the Gyeongbok Palace was rebuilt. So Changgyeong Palace was mainly for ladies, but still there is a throne hall. In each palace, you have to have a throne hall. So this is the Injeongjeon, which is the throne hall of the Changdeok Palace. So I'll show you the detail. Injeongjeon, and behind the Injeongjeon is, of course, the secret garden, which is not illustrated here. And you can see sorry. There is this king's place, and always they build a platform so that people can be on the important officials are on the platform, and there's this white tents. And on the steps, you see his palanquin. And screen of banquet for Queen Mother or Dowager Queen, Shinjong. So there's 3 screens only for her. Her 40th birthday, 60th birthday, and 80th birthday. Because she was so lonely all the time, and so the palace wanted to really reward her this way. But then there is such thing called in-law politics in Korean history, and that means that all the wives of the king's relatives, like queen's brother or queen's father, these people had wielded great deal of power at court. So we call it in-law politics, or in Korean it's called 세도 정치. And so she's one of those figures, of course. She's a daughter of a famous official at the time called Jo Man-young. Okay, this we went through already, so I will go to the details. Panel 3 and 4, and it happened in a place called Mangyongjeon. And more details. Now I want to show you the flowers piled up on each food dishes, and all these flowers and the ladies have flowers on their head, and flowers and flowers. There are so many flower artisans employed in one banquet, and more than 10,000 units of flowers have been created for this banquet alone. And also, I must tell you that during the Joseon Dynasty, the earlier period, they only made flowers out of paper. But at this time, in late 19th century, flowers were made out of silk, velvet, and silver thread. It's very expensive. For some reason, real flowers have not been used for banquets. I think it's because of the season, and also these banquets went on at least for 3 days. So this is the vase of, I wouldn't say it's flower, but it's a kind of tree branch with lots of flowers and birds. And these are the small units of flowers that you've seen on the head of the ladies and on top of the food dishes. And also, I thought this was really interesting. This is a flower vase draped with a scarf-like cloth, but this is not a scarf. In China, during the Qing period, we find a vase shaped just like that. So I would say that this is an imported jar, a vase. But in Korea, we didn't make anything like that. And I found out that so many items that were used for banquets were all imported. This was the table recreated with all the food and flowers on top of each pile of foods. So I was trying to find a painting with live flowers, real flowers, and I found this 18th century painter, Lee Bang-un, where you find in his studio on his desk there is a vase with plum trees he cut from here, I suppose. But I don't know in real life whether they really used flower arrangements or not. And another banquet scene where you find the fir seat here. There are several different kinds of fir seat listed in the Uigwe. So I find all these items that were used for interior decoration. So this is a great mine of information for interior decoration and material culture of the Joseon Dynasty. This is the pyopi. Pyo is leopard, I think. And screens, of course. And you see the sword dance here. And then I think some of these items will also come here. Red lacquer tray tables. Small tables were used in the Joseon Dynasty in a banquet situation. Each individual would receive a table of his own. They never ate out of a big dinner table or anything. So even now, during the great families of Joseon period, kept all these small trays in their house. So if you ever visit Yangdong, Yangdong is in North Gyeongsang province. And there is a family who kept all these small tables in their home. And the red lacquer was used only in the palace. These are the drawings of instruments. And then I want to show you this picture. This is the banquet screen that we saw earlier, but look at this photograph of the late 19th, early. Photograph came to Korea at the end of the 19th century from Japan and Shanghai. So all these high officials' family wanted to take family picture or some kind of celebration behind this kind of banquet screen. So you would wonder how the family would have this kind of screen. But in Uigwe books, we find that these great big screens were commissioned by these officials. And one was, of course, made to be kept in the palace, but each high officials who participated in these events would commission one. So if one has less money, then he will order smaller painting, or just out of 10 panels, only 2 panels. So you find copies of screens of the same events here and there, even in this country. Let's see how we're. Are we out of time? We ran out of time? No, I think this is very long, so I will simply go through the slides quickly. I had two more sections. One is the documenting the making of the royal portraits. I wrote a monograph on it, but in Korean. So I will simply show you all these things. What they thought was important in a portrait, transmission of the spirit, life-likeness, faithful to the model, and grasp of fine details comes last. And then this is interesting. I did a book on Western influence on Korean painting of the Joseon Dynasty. And I have this in my book to show you how so many times King Gojong posed for his painters. And this is a portrait of King Gojong by a Westerner called American painter Hubert Boss. But he might have gotten all these interesting details of shiny robes and face very three-dimensional and all that. But then I found out that he doesn't look like Gojong. This is how he looks. So this was made at the beginning of the 20th century. And then all the portraits or any living king should be behind this screen called the screen of the five pigs. I have an article in English in a journal called Oriental Art. So this is very interesting point, but I will skip. So we both have a rear screen plus several different types of screen in Uigwe. And this is how it looks in the main portrait hall of King Taejo, the first king of Joseon, in front of the screen of the five peaks. And that's the procession, and that's the way how they went from Jeongjo to Seoul, back to Seoul. And this is how the portrait hall looks with real portraits inside this way, but now it's all empty because we lost them during the Korean War. And actually the state funeral related rites are very interesting, but if I can I spend 10 more minutes? Is that all right? Okay. Because when a king dies, you have to have a superintendency for king's funeral per se, and making of his tomb and keeping of his spirit tablet for 27 months until it is safely enshrined in the royal ancestral hall. And then one is the procession going to the royal ancestral hall. So we have to have 4 different Uigwes. And then the procession is really interesting with so many little palanquins. So these are the Uigwe, and that's King Injo's tomb. And I will skip this entire part, except that the second one, calling for the spirit, is interesting. A eunuch shakes an outfit of the deceased king 3 times, calling for the spirit to come back. So when a king dies, people are really sad and hoping that his spirit would come back. They shake his garment on top of the roof of a palace. but I never heard of anyone revived or the spirit came back. Anyway, so I will skip everything, but funeral procession. Now you notice that the costumes are all white instead of very colorful in King Jeongjo's procession, wedding procession. So many of these little things contain all the items to be buried. It's gold seal and jade book. And this little thing is important because they are afraid that the spirit would float around. And so they decided that it's good to have a cloth, a cotton cloth, and wrap the spirit inside the cloth and bury it. That's this. And then a whole lot more of the colorful palanquins carrying burial goods, basketry, porcelain, wooden servants, musical instruments, and wooden wares, and queen's cloth, and formal attire, daily attire, and so on and whatnot. So the queen would be well provided and well taken care of inside the tomb. And then this is finally the main palanquin to carry the casket. And I took this from a news cut showing Emperor Sunjong's state funeral in 1926. So the huge palanquin carrying the funeral palanquin showing the carrying the casket is shown like that, very similar to that shown in painting. But in King Injo's funeral that I was just showing, over 60,000 men were mobilized to carry the casket from Seoul to Paju, and that's only about 40 kilometers north of Seoul. I think I have the map. Oh, no. Okay, this is interesting. This is the 4 deities that are supposed to be inside the little house structures that kept the casket temporarily before the burial. But then after the burial, all these things were burned, so we don't know how it looked inside, but we have all these paintings in the Uigwe book, so we know that these were painted. But the 4 deities of the 4 directions, I would think the best paintings are from the Goguryeo tomb painting of the 6th and 7th century. I'm sure you've learned that already. And then I will simply skip this because we don't have time and we have more important things. Uigwe and art history. Now I've shown you so many different illustrations, but the texts are also quite important. And I want to point out what kind of things we can cull out of the text. Now here it says 병풍장 김인세, which means a person called Kim Inse made those screens. And so many screens were made and used at different spots, at a banquet, at a wedding, and so on. And then 칠장, which is lacquer guys. And then there's the court painter's name, 1, 2, 3, 4. And actually there are a lot more court painters. And this is the guy who made the jade book. And finally, there is a list of girls who worked as seamstress, or it says needle and thread servant. That's Chimseonbi. But please pay attention to the structure of the names. Here, for these women, you only have 2 syllables, like this. Whereas all these men, you have surname plus given name, surname, given name, and so on and so forth. So the ones who worked as seamstresses are all from the outcast class. This shows what kind of award people got from working for the special events. So here it says somebody who worked as the chief official got something called here neguma, 1 neguma. Neguma means the best horse in the royal stable. So they got an award of a horse. So I would say that these days high officials in Korea ride the best sedan made in Korea, and that's called ikus. And ikus, of course, means horse. So this, I guess, is the tradition. And then some of the officials got different awards. But what I want to show you is this one. Somebody got award in the form of change of social status. So from the outcast to the regular class. So during the Joseon Dynasty, there are basically 2 divisions of the class. One is outcast, the other is good people. We call it Yangmin. Within Yangmin, then you will have the 4 classes, Sa, Nong, Gong, Sang, which means Sa is officials or scholars, Nong is a farmer, Gong is artisan, Sang is merchants. But all these 4 divisions are all within the good people class. And theoretically, even if you are an artisan or farmer or anything within Yangmin, then you are eligible to take state examination and become officials. So I'm sure you've seen Kim Hong-do's painting where parents are farmers, but a little kid is studying in the corner, reading books. So it's the idea of a person to study and pass the examination and become state officials. But this kind of opportunity was denied to the outcast. So after this event, this person, instead of getting material award, got something called Myeon-chun. Myeon means getting rid of, and chun means very lowly social class. So not only this person, but her descendants will all be Yangmin or good people. And then I made list after list of what kind of screens were made on what occasion and in each event, which location and so on, but this is too long, so I will simply skip, and I'll tell you that before the Uigwe studies were conducted, most people thought that these paintings were so colorful, and so it must be folk paintings. But now we really established the category of court painting, court decorative painting, or court ritual paintings. And so in all these Uigwe books, we find names of these screens as well as the locations they were used and occasions they were used. So this is 10 longevities and flower, lotus flowers. They all have different symbols, but you will find out these things reading books. So that's peony, symbol of wealth and nobility, and bird and flower. And this is interesting, Happy Life of Gozi. Gozi is a Chinese general who was envied by Tang Dynasty king, and he became, he was general who subsided the An Lushan's revolution in mid-8th century. So he had 7 sons and 8 daughters. So all his sons and all his son-in-laws became high officials and wealthy, and he had more than 100 children, grandchildren, whom he couldn't even recognize. So that's the kind of story of this screen. But then this is interesting. The story is Chinese, but in China, you don't have this kind of screen. So I was just having lunch in the trustees' dining hall, and there was this a lacquer screen, which looked like it shows abbreviated version of this theme. So I will look into it more, see if that's really it. And I'm sure you know the scholars' paraphernalia. By this time, we had Western influence on Korean painting, and it looks like the artist is trying to create the three-dimensional space. And then calligraphy painting, we still use a lot of calligraphy paintings, but usually at a banquet scene, the calligraphy screens were for the royal children, prince or crown princess. And then, as you know, peacocks are not native to Korea, but I found one illustration of peacock screen on the right side in 1802 Banquet, Uigwe. And then the detail shows this male and female peacocks. So all these things show that during the Joseon Dynasty, not only the rites were very strict, but also all these material culture flourished a great deal, and the court is, of course, the sponsor of all this development of material culture. So without these Uigwe books, we will not be able to know what happened during the Joseon period. Now, as I said, we got these royal viewing Uigwes after 145 years. But then, why we insisted on having these things You will see the difference between the Royal Viewing Copy's painting and the History Archives copy. The figures here are all stamped. Look at the lines, very different. Whereas these things are all drawn one by one, and the way they are holding these attributes are all exactly the way it should be in royal copies, but not in the archive copies. And this again shows interesting detail of royal viewing copy with arrows, but the history archive copies only with quivers. Then this is the worst of the history archive copy. I don't know how these guys are holding up the palanquin. Look, nothing is there. I had to go through the entire procession looking at these two different versions. And so finally, my last slide shows the illustration of the Chang'an-mun. It's the gate, one of the gates of the Hwasong citadel. And this is the Uigwe, which was produced right after the building of the citadel Hwasong. Hwasong, remember, is the place where King Jeongjo's father's tomb was near. So King Jeongjo was very filial, and he decided to make Hwasong as his second capital. In Korean, this is Hanyang is the capital. And then Hwasong is what is called Yusubu, second capital. And so after the creation of Hwasong, he decided that everything has to be all recorded with all the illustrations well printed. And then during the Korean War, the entire Hwasong was burnt down. But then because we had these Uigwe books and illustrations, we were able to reconstruct the Hwasong. And so when Korean government applied this Hwasong to be the UNESCO's cultural heritage, the officials came to examine not only Hwasong itself, but they were more impressed by the Hwasong Seongnyeok Uigwe, Uigwe of the building of Hwasong citadel. So now I think, I hope I told you enough about the importance of Uigwe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Yi. That was an amazing body of work that you've been delving into, I imagine, for several years. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't think we can take questions because of the time, but if anyone has questions, would you be willing to take them one-on-one afterwards? Yeah, so she'll be here for a few minutes if you'd like to come. Please, let's show her again our gratitude. Thank you, Professor Yi.
One is those flowers, do they reuse in different?
Yeah. They were reused, definitely.
And then the other thing is, earlier slides you showed the Uigwe of the wedding of Crown Prince, and then I see the Hanzi saying Kangxi.
Oh.